Usually it's just two, and one of them is Mike Chandler. I'd like to call the meeting to order for the Cumberland School Committee on May 9th, 2019 at 7:40 p.m. The first order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. Ask everyone to rise. Okay, next order of business is approval of the agenda. Do I need a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
A motion by Mr. Salvatore,
I'll second.
seconded by Mr. Hess. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0. Next is the consent agenda. We have approval of minutes from the regular meeting of April 25th, 2019, approval of minutes from the executive session of April 25th, 2019, the enrollment report from May 1st, the school police report from April 1st, the residency truancy report from May 1st, and we have a resolution that we received from, I believe it was Smithfield, in regards to career and education programs that they've asked us to endorse and send off to the state. So I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Hess.
Second.
At once. Seconded by Mrs. Friedman. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0. Next is a report out of the executive session meeting on May 9th, 2019. There were no votes taken in the executive session. I need a motion to seal the minutes.
Motion to seal?
Motion to seal by Mr. Fiorello,
Second.
second by Mr. Salvatore. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? You opposed? No? Approved 7-0. Thank you. I heard something. All right, next is the superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first thing that I need to do, in fact, I would be remiss if I did not mention the fact that this is National Teacher Appreciation Week. I know that anyone who's really paying attention to what is happening in Cumberland knows that the district is performing well. We know that we can always get better, but certainly, for example, based on the most recent RICAS results, there were a few districts that had the movement that Cumberland did. So the reason for that is because of the outstanding work done all day, every day, by all of our teachers and other certified staff and the support staff that supports what takes place in our buildings every day. So I want to publicly acknowledge the great work that's happening in each of our schools in the district. I also want to acknowledge not only certainly the teachers, the psychologists, the social workers, the interventionists, and all of our certified staff, but all of our non-certified staff, and certainly our administrators as well. There's no question that we're getting better as a district, and we're hopeful that that trend will continue. So Mr. Damana and I sent out a note to all of our staff members this week, letting them know how much we appreciate the good work that's being done. So I just wanted to publicly acknowledge them for their good work. Now we have one of the reasons why we have such a big crowd here this evening is because we have a lot of recognition. So if you could join me down at the podium, Mr. Chairman, I'd appreciate it. So the first thing that I would like to do is recognize the 2019 Cumberland District Teacher of the Year. Every year, right around this time, we ask all of our administrators to nominate teachers and certified staff for this consideration, this well-deserved recognition. And I think anyone who knows how hard our teachers work and the impact that they have on our students knows that we have a lot of outstanding teachers working in the district. And I am really pleased to announce to all of you that the 2019 Cumberland District Teacher of the Year is Betsy Yost. Betsy, come on up. So what we do is we ask administrators to nominate a staff member, and they're also asked to, write up something and let us all know why they feel that the teacher is deserving of this recognition. And I think it's appropriate that I share some of what Mrs. Vaughn wrote about Betsy. It is an honor to submit Betsy Yost for consideration as Cumberland's Teacher of the Year. Betsy contributes to her students, families, colleagues, and district with excellence in all she does. She volunteers on many committees and helps students after school. She is an exemplary colleague, helping and sharing her knowledge and resources. She works tirelessly, diligently, and deserves this recognition for her dedication. Betsy is always positive, high energy, and focused on bringing out the best in her students and colleagues. Her high expectations are reflected in her students' quality work, focus, and exemplary test scores. She is a team player and has wonderful ideas to share with her colleagues. She gladly supports others behind the scenes with no expectation of accolades. Betsy leads the community school ELA School Improvement Team Subcommittee, where her leadership is exemplified through her advocacy for high-quality instruction, using self-regulated strategy development and district curriculum. She provides insight to her colleagues at all grade levels to create an aligned writing system that puts the needs of students first. Her efforts to bring academic success to all students at community are laudable and worthy of this recognition. Additionally, Betsy's leadership skills are evident at the district level. She serves as a 5th grade curriculum mapping team member. The district team meets monthly with representatives from each school. While other team members respect Betsy's knowledge and collaboration, she has organically become the leader of this group. Her solid knowledge of practice and pedagogy adds an essential dimension to curriculum conversations. Betsy is a true asset to the Cumberland School Department, community school, and town of Cumberland. In the words of William Arthur Ward, I quote, "The mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, and the great teacher inspires." Betsy Yost is an inspiration to her students, families, and colleagues, and is highly deserving of this recognition. And it is for these and many more reasons that Betsy A. Yost, as we like to call her, is Cumberland's 2019 District Teacher of the Year. So we have this lovely plaque, and the reason I have this table here is because I usually drop the plaque. And it says, Cumberland School Department 2019 District Teacher of the Year, presented to Betsy Yost in recognition of your inspirational actions and excellence in educational leadership. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And there is another plaque that will hang proudly in the main foyer of this building. All of the district teachers of the year, beginning with 2011, are on the plaque, and this will hang in the main foyer of this building. So congratulations. Betsy, anybody that knows Betsy and works with her on a regular basis knows that she is exceptional. And, you know, there is this great book. It makes me think of this book. Believe it or not, it is a book written by Todd Whitaker, and the title of the book is Dealing with Difficult Teachers. Believe it or not, is the title of the book. But here is the thing that's most important about the book. He identifies there are three types of teachers. And it's true when you think about it of any organization. There are three kinds of people in any organization, and since we're educators, that's what he was focusing on in the book. There are those teachers, those individuals that you have to drag them along, kicking and screaming whenever you try to do something new. There are those people in the middle who are conscientious, hardworking professionals who will always do the right thing. And then there are that small percentage of people who are superstars, the people that make things happen in a school and in an organization. And anyone that knows Betsy would agree that she is a superstar. And that is why she is deserving of this recognition. So enjoy this well-deserved recognition, Betsy. I'm going to get a picture.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for this honor. I was stunned, so honored, so thankful. Thankful mostly for, I love the school district. I love working at community school. I feel very supported, starting at the top with Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Damana and Mrs. Vaughn and Mr. Rapport. But the teachers that I work with, everyone in this room is so deserving. The kids love you guys. I love challenging them and them rising to the occasion. I love community school. I love Cumberland. So thank you so much.
Okay, so I think Kerry Marshall is next. Yeah, Kerry Marshall, can you please come up? Hi. This is Kerry Marshall, everyone. And Kerry is an art teacher. And so not only do we have the 2019 Cumberland District Teacher of the Year, we have the 2018-2019 Elementary Art Teacher of the Year for the state of Rhode Island. So currently, Kerry is teaching both at Ashton and Garvin, that's correct. And she has been teaching in the district for 6 years. She's actively involved in the Rhode Island Art Education Association. She is a chair of Youth Art Month and does a lot of wonderful things related to the arts and specifically art education in the state. So it is our pleasure to acknowledge your outstanding work, and we have a small token of our appreciation. So congratulations to you, Kerry. As you can see, we have a lot of talent in the district. Erin, can you please come up? This is Erin O'Clair, everyone. And the reason that we asked Erin to join us this evening is because Erin, and one of the things we like to acknowledge is when our teachers, and we have many I say teachers all the time, but I should say all certified staff, because it's not just teachers. It's teachers, social workers, psychologists, school counselors, interventionists. It's just, and I'm concerned that I forget all of the wonderful certified people that help us do the things that we do. And Erin teaches physical education at Garvin Elementary School, and I think one of the things that we've tried to do this year is acknowledge those teachers who go above and beyond the call of duty and do things like apply for grants. Applying for a grant can be a time-consuming thing, anyone that's ever done it, and there are people that have the skill to be able to do that. I respect that. I don't know that it's a skill that I actually possess. So Erin applied for a grant through the Andre Faxon Charities Foundation. So she was able to get some golfing equipment for the students at Garvin, and it's my understanding that those students have been having a great time learning how to play golf. So the beauty of this is that they're being exposed to something that they might not have necessarily been exposed to had she not applied for this grant. So Erin, as a small token of our appreciation, we want you to know that we appreciate your effort in getting the grant and acquiring this golf equipment. And here's just a small token of our appreciation. Yes, I think we're all set. But yeah, so we just have a few more presentations this evening. We have from the Cumberland Education Foundation, Dr. Rosemary Riley Shamat is here to share with all of you the grants that were presented to a number of teachers who applied for grants through this foundation. And I just want to say that we really appreciate the support that we get from this organization. So not only do they provide scholarship money to a number of our students, but they also provide opportunities for our teachers to apply for grants. They have a committee that reviews all of the grants, and they make a decision about, the grants that they're going to support, and they support several of them. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Dr. Rosemary Riley Shamat, and thank you for your continued support, and thanks for all of you involved in that organization. Thank you, Rosemary.
So thank you so much for including us, the Cumberland Education Foundation, in this night of celebration of excellence in teaching. I am Rosemary Riley Shamat, and I am the president of the Cumberland Education Foundation. And tonight I'm joined by Amy Goggin, John Marquet, Amy Neary, who also serves as our secretary, and Tina Fogel, who's doing double duty tonight. And I wanted to give a special shout out to board member Kim Pasanante and Kristen Sukatos, who was not able to join us tonight. But it's Kim and Kristen who really helped organize us around the grant process, so thank you so much for that. The Cumberland Education Foundation is pleased to announce the 2019 recipients of the Cumberland Education Foundation Grant Program. The foundation awards grants for proposals that focus on traditional academic subjects, visual and performing arts, STEAM, and those that promote community cultural learning experiences. In addition, the foundation used the following criteria to inform the funding decisions: employ innovative methods or techniques to inform and educate, show the most promise of significantly enhancing the educational process, have a direct and immediate impact on the largest number of students, and yield materials or processes that will benefit future students. The Cumberland Education Foundation grants are not intended to replace or relieve the existing responsibility for public funding of schools, nor are they intended to be a substitute for normal budget growth and maintenance. There were 15 applications received representing schools across the districts. Grant proposals were capped at a maximum of $2,000 this year, and the total funding awarded this year was $10,000. Also joining me tonight are some representatives of our sponsors, and we've enjoyed great support from the school department, from the school committee, other elected officials, and businesses in town, and particularly sponsors. So I would like to recognize Allie LaRue and Sarah Heathcote from Leading Realty Group, Tim Draper from Navigant Credit Union, and Holly Applegate from the Applegate Grant at the Rhode Island Foundation. Additionally, Tom Ward and Brad Dean of Dean Warehouse are sponsors as well. So thank you so much. Now I'd like to invite the grant recipients to join me at the podium, please. So congratulations to the following 2019 CEF grant recipients. First, Andrea Friedland from Community School for a sensory floor. This project will establish a sensory floor in the grade 4 to 5 hallway to provide students an opportunity to use movement to regulate their emotional and physical states. It will provide a short active break for students and help them refocus on learning. Next, and in a similar theme, Laurie Seno and Lindsay Aldequist, Sensory Pass at Ashton School. And this project will establish a large sensory path in the kindergarten hallway and an additional smaller path in the first and second grade hallway. The sensory paths provide opportunities for sensory breaks to help children maintain and focus their attention. Diane Boisvert. Hello, Diane. I don't want to. Diane Boisvert, enhancing lessons through video instruction, and this is at Community School. And this project will support the purchase of an iPad tablet and a subscription to Explain Everything for Education whiteboard and screencasting app. The videos allow differentiation of instruction so that 5th grade students can complete the video lessons with the level of guidance that they need to be successful. Bernadette Durkin. And this is a community school for a STEM makerspace. This project will support a learning environment where students gather to share resources, develop computational thinking, engineering and design skills as they create projects or build new devices. Mary Smith. Oh, she's got a fan club. Improving student fluency in grades 2 through 5 at B.F. Norton School. This project funds Reflex, an adaptive and individualized system that supports students in mastering basic facts in addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division in grades 2 through 5. The data allows teachers to differentiate instruction to support student academic needs. And finally, Monique Johnson at Cumberland Hill School for the Lego Makerspace. This project supports a makerspace in the Library Media Center. The students will use engineering design processes to build structures and solve problems. Students will enhance their cooperation, collaboration, creativity, and communication skills as they work together. So congratulations to all the grant recipients. Thanks so much. And so in closing, I would invite you to visit us on our website, www.cumberlandedfoundation.org, like us on our Facebook page, and now, thanks to Amy, you can follow us on Twitter. And mark your calendars, please, for Saturday, December 7th at Kirkbrake Country Club. We will have our 3rd annual gala. And please, if other board members and our sponsors could join me for a quick picture, that would be great. Thank you so much.
If I may, just one final thing about the Cumberland Education Foundation. Dr. Sally Mitchell and I have gone to that event over the last couple of years. I have to call her that. But anyway, and it is, if you haven't been, it is an elegant, classy event. It's a lot of fun, great food, well attended, and I know that it takes a tremendous amount of time and effort to organize that. So thank you all for your effort in putting that together, because I know a lot of money is generated as a result of that, and also thanks to all those sponsors who back this organization. We really appreciate it. So it really is a nice community organization. If you get a chance to go on December 7th, give it some thought. It'll be a wonderful evening. All right, I just have one more thing, Mr. Chairman. On the agenda is an update on field trips, and I know that over the last couple of weeks, there has been a lot of media attention on this issue. The Commissioner of Education at the Rhode Island Department of Ed made it wasn't a ruling, it has been, it's suggested that it is guidance for districts, and there is some concern that many of the field trips that we have been able to conduct over the last several years, where we need the support of students financially, of families financially, in order to be able to do them. The ruling was essentially that we can no longer charge for any field trips that are connected to the curriculum in any way. And there is a lot of concern about this, and I think there is also, everyone is interpreting this guidance document in a number of different ways, and there's not a whole lot of clarity on how it will impact students and staff. I have a superintendent's meeting tomorrow, an annual meeting, and this is one of the agenda items. And I know that I, along with a number of my colleagues, are hoping that we'll get some clarification on what we can do moving forward, because right now we are up in the air, and I know that we are already collecting money for the Washington, D.C. trip. And I know that, I don't know if we're collecting money for the Quebec trip, but, we are going to have to make a decision at some point as to what we're going to do about that. So I am hopeful that we'll get some guidance on that tomorrow, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, next order of business is report of standing committees. A is payment of bills.
Okay, Fiscal did meet upstairs this evening. We did have payment of the bills in the amount of $1,949,851.41, and I would move passage of that.
Mr. Hess moves passage, payment of the bills in amount of $1,949,851.41. Do I have a second?
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
Second by Mr. Salvatore. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 7-0. We're going to take a 5-minute break. If everybody that wants to leave could leave. We don't mind you staying. Mr. Chandler can get you on the video so people know we have actual people coming to our meetings. But otherwise, if we want to take a break, fine. If not, then we will continue. I guess we're going to...
Yeah, don't feel pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got to go home and do your homework.
We just don't want to be here.
Ladies, thank you for your support. We really appreciate it.
All right, Mr. Fiorello.
I'm Joyce Single-Luciani. I'm the one who wrote the letter. I'm the troublemaker. And this is Patty Lynch. Hi. Yes, we have.
All right, we're going to continue with the meeting. Next order of business is Fiscal Management Subcommittee update. Mr. Hess.
Okay, once again, Fiscal did meet upstairs this evening. We paid the bills. We also had a discussion about the current state of the fiscal 19 budget. At present, and obviously this can change on a daily or weekly basis, but at present, we are looking good for the fiscal 19 budget, looking to run possibly, assuming everything went the way it's looking today, just over a $500,000 surplus. But that can change. We've had some rather wild fluctuations with healthcare from month to month. So, but right now, things are looking good for fiscal 19. We also had an update with regard to our pool vendor that maintains the pool. We've had some difficulty with them maintaining a current balance, current account with us. They are paid now through April in full, so that's a positive. In addition, we did have some discussion about the status of the student lunch balances. We still have an issue with that. We currently have, for students, in the range of a -$100 to -$1,000 balance range. That accounts for $35,000, so that is a significant sum of money. Our specific concern at this point is seniors who owe money. Obviously, we do have policies in place that would not allow seniors to walk if they had outstanding balances. So we are pushing to get seniors to get current with those balances. And then if it comes to this, that we are unable to get people to pay off their balances, we have reached out to collection agencies to try and get that money paid back. So clearly it's an issue that we're concerned about, and that was about all that happened in fiscal.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hess. Next is Policy and Procedure Subcommittee update. Mr. Fiorello.
Yes, Mr. Chair. We actually met last Thursday. We discussed the I-14 high school proficiency-based graduation policy and also the J-20 student dress code. We did make some slight changes to the dress code from the previous meeting that we've had on it, and we also did revise the high school proficiency graduation. We will discuss that more in detail, though, when we go to vote for it, and Mr. Costa is here to explain some of the changes. Also, we once again expressed the need to create a crowdsourcing policy, which would be in place hopefully sometime over the course of the summer, so that teachers have some clear guidance coming into the fall about crowdsourcing fundraising and what the rules around that should be.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fiorello. Next is Achievement and Communications Subcommittee update. Mrs. Friedman.
Okay, we met on Tuesday night and we reviewed an updated version of policy I-13, which is the high school proficiency performance-based grading policy. This has not yet gone before the policy subcommittee. But essentially, the update of this policy really represents a lot of behind-the-scenes work that the administration and faculty is doing to ensure rigor and consistency around grading at the high school. The policy will go for a first reading on May 21st to the policy committee, and then will be voted on at a later date after that. At our next meeting, also on May 21st, Mr. Costa will come and give us a detailed overview of the policy and the implementation plan and the communications plan. And then later this year, probably in September, on September 12th, we will give an update to the full school committee so that everybody is aware of the changes that are happening at the high school from a grading perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Friedman. Next is comments from the public. Anyone who wishes to speak, make a public comment needs to come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. We have one gentleman here that would.
Excuse me. Yeah, my name's Mr. Norton, Don Norton. I was hoping my wife was going to do this. She left, so she kind of stuck me. So she's the one that's got all the information, and she left. So I'll try to. Can I pull this out? Thank you. This has got to do with. I have a son who's special needs, and as far as I know right now, the information that I have from my wife is that he's not getting a diploma. There's some kind of works in the system right now that a child like this doesn't get a diploma. He's in a special type of needs class program, and I wish he was here because I don't know the name of it, and I apologize. I'm sorry? I didn't never left. Okay. Oh, whatever.
All right.
But anyway, so she was she wanted to discuss the possibilities, I guess, of something's in the work, perhaps, of changing this, that he could get a diploma when he graduates from here. I mean, right now, the program that he's in, I guess he's here till he's 21, and then he leaves without a diploma. Now, you know, a diploma just gets you in the door to work. So can anyone, inform me as to what's going on here? I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Fiorello had this in his committee, so he can.
We are actually changing the graduation requirements for specifically, it'll apply to many students, but specifically targets special ed students. Mr. Costa and Mrs. Lemieux could probably speak to it better after the meeting. But we are actually passing a new policy tonight that hopefully will help your son. And I would be willing to discuss it with you after the meeting.
That'd be great. Linda, wherever you are, thank you.
All right, thank you. Next is public hearings. Oh, I'm sorry, is there anyone else that wanted to speak? No, thank you. All right, so next is public hearings. Item number A, reading of amended policies. Number 1 is I-14 high school proficiency-based graduation. Mr. Fiorello?
I would just ask that I-14 high school proficiency-based graduation will be read into the record tonight, as well as the J-20 student dress code.
Mr. Fiorello makes a motion to read I-14 high school proficiency-based graduation and J-20 student dress code into the record. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0. There's any public comment in regards to these two amended policies?
I just had to read it.
Read it. All right, next is old business. All right, there is. All right, this is the time, yes.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie Friedman, and I was on the committee, the student committee that helped create the new dress code. And I just wanted to say thank you to the school committee and to Mr. Fiorello for helping us kind of get this done and to help make a lot of the students at Cumberland High School very happy. Thank you.
Including Mom. Thank you. Anyone else? I see nothing. All right. No, I guess we're good. Next is old business discussion and a vote to approve new policies. Item number 1, J26, student social media policy. Mr. Fiorello, is that ready?
Yes, it is. The policy was ready at the last meeting. It was just agended incorrectly, so I would make a motion to approve J26, the student social media policy.
Mr. Fiorello makes a motion to approve J26, student social media policy. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Mr. Hess. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0. Next is G17, personal social media policy. Mr. Fiorello?
Same as the last one. This is the social media policy that applies to the personnel, and I would make a motion to approve this policy. I'd also like to thank Mike Chandler for all the work that he did on these policies.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chandler. Mr. Fiorello makes a motion to approve G17. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Jen Bernardo. Mrs. Bernardo, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 7-0. Next is new business. Discussion of correspondence received regarding the renaming of North Cumberland Middle School to Richard B. Lynch Middle School. We had received some correspondence from Mrs. Cucciani, who used to be the middle school, at McCourt Middle School principal for many years, on the school committee here as well. And she sent us a letter, and I told her I would put it on our agenda for some discussion tonight so we could introduce it, and then we would vote on it in 2 weeks. And this would, if we approve it, it'll go to the town council with our recommendation, that because they are the only ones that can change the names of the buildings and name it after Mr. Lynch. So, Mrs. Cucciani, would you like to come up and speak about it?
Needed a microphone. I think everybody who has worked for me has known that. Richard B. Lynch was the longtime principal over here at Cumberland Middle School. I was fortunate to be one of his assistant principals. I've known him and his family for more than 30 years, maybe even more than that. But anyway, he also was the first principal of North Cumberland Middle School. He opened the school when it was just after we built the Cumberland Middle School, which is now McCourt. So since my former school was named after its first principal, I thought it was only right that the North Cumberland Middle School would be named after the first principal of that school. He's certainly well-deserving. As you all know, he was a coach, he was a guidance counselor, he was principal over there, and he was principal over here. So not wanting to change Cumberland High School's name, especially with the new sign that's out there, I thought this would be an appropriate honor for him and his family.
Great. So what we will do is let the public know that we're going to be discussing this in 2 weeks, and we'll have a resolution made up for the school committee, and we can take some public input and then make a motion to either approve the resolution and send it to the town council for their guidance in regards to this. Anyone else want to speak on this? No, so we'll discuss. Mr. Mitchell?
Mr. Chairman, Beth, I don't want to put you on the spot, but would it be appropriate? I don't know if because of the agenda, if it would be appropriate, but Beth, was there something that you wanted to share with you? I don't want to put you on the spot.
No.
Okay.
You can do it now, you can do it in 2 weeks, Mrs. Beth.
Oh.
What?
Oh, come on up.
We're going to put you on the spot.
Well, we'll put you on the spot now and take it into the record, and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Good evening. I would like to express my support for changing the name of North Cumberland Middle School to Richard B. Lynch Middle School. I've known Mr. Lynch for most of my life. He was highly respected by my father, who was a longtime school committee person in town. He was my principal at Cumberland High School, and he continued to play an important part in the NCMS community for as long as I can remember, presenting the Richard B. Lynch Student Athlete Award to two 8th graders, at the end of year celebration. He presented this award every single year, with the exception of the last 2. But I can tell you that he would call, and he really wanted to be there. Just after my appointment to principal at North Cumberland Middle School, I found old documents going back to when the school opened. I read through many school newspapers that highlighted interviews with Mr. Lynch, comments by Mr. Lynch, which gave insight to his educational philosophy and the school culture that he created. There was one particular interview, however, that caught my attention. Mr. Lynch was asked, "What is the school philosophy?" He answered, "To build better school-student relations, to build better school-parent relations, to reach the individual student, and to have each student strive to do their best and work hard to reach their goal." This is the philosophy that we follow today. Student-focused, relationship building, and academic excellence. I do support the renaming of our school to honor Mr. Lynch. Based on his dedication, exceptional character, and hard work over the course of his highly successful career, I would be honored to be the principal of Richard B. Lynch Middle School. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Superintendent, could you prepare a resolution for our next meeting? And we'll take public comment then again and take a vote to send it to the town council. Thank you. Anyone else? No? Thank you. All right, so next on the agenda is discussion and a vote to approve homeschool instruction request for the 2018-2019 school year. Mr. Superintendent?
Mr. Chairman, there is one application, and I recommend approval.
Superintendent recommends approval. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Mrs. Waters, seconded by
Second.
Mrs. Friedman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0. Next is discussion and a vote to approve the amended policies. I-14, high school proficiency-based graduation. Mr. Fiorello.
Yes, I'd like to ask Mr. Costa to come up to the podium and just give a brief overview of what the new policy is intended to do.
Thank you, everyone. So earlier on this year, Dr. Santa came to me and said we really need to start looking at our diploma policy. There was a little bit of pressure from RIDE to look at the number of students that just were not eligible to receive a diploma at the high school. And a lot of that really reflected the guidance that RIDE was providing us. They had language around one diploma, students couldn't receive a different diploma. And the diploma system was built really around college preparedness. We would say college and career ready, but it was really about college or going to college and preparing yourself for a career. So early on, we started looking at different types of policies. We looked at what Barrington was doing, because Barrington was really one of the first schools to have a tiered diploma system. And then we spoke to a school who is also in the process of changing. So I wanted to get both perspectives. So I spoke to Dan Kelly at Smithfield High School. And so with some of their feedback, we drafted a diploma, shared it. I shared it with Mr. Damana and with Dr. Santa, and we spoke about it, and we spoke about some of the things that were in it, like in terms of credits versus courses of study. So we really wanted it to be something that every student at the high school could achieve, but achieve within their own path. So we did create a diploma that was for all students. One of the things that we did throughout the policy is we kind of demonstrated the two tracks. So what would a college track look like? What would a college readiness diploma look like? And then maybe what would a diploma look like for students who may not be going to a four-year school right out of high school, that might be going to work or might be starting a career. And so we developed the different pathways, and we've delineated it within the policy, but we've only delineated it within the policy just because we feel a responsibility to tell parents this is what your, this is the course sequence that your children should be taking if they are planning on going to a four-year school. But if that was the only path, there'd be a number of students who would never receive a diploma from Cumberland High School. So, but the idea is, and this came up in conversation, is that that delineation is only for communication purposes, and we've added a line that it's never the intent to have that delineation on the diploma, like we're not going to use two different colored diplomas. It's not going on the transcript. And it was Dan Kelly who told me, from Smithfield High School, the principal there, who said, it's really up to the next institution. It's really up to the next institution to look at the transcript and make a determination. And it'll be clear when you look at a transcript of a student who started out in geometry and took algebra 2, pre-calc, calc, it might look much, much different from another student. But it's really up to them to make a decision about enrollment in a college or acceptance for a job. One of the questions we did have in creating the policy, is with the potential adoption of some of these changes, whether or not we could adopt it for, whether we would have to wait for the incoming class of 2023, or if we could adopt it and apply it to our students next year. So we reached out to RIDE, and Dr. Santa wrote them an email. And one of the things that they were concerned about was, were we changing expectations in terms of students being proficient? And so they looked at our document. They were very happy with our diploma, and their feedback was that we could implement this as soon as for next year's class, that we wouldn't have to wait for the class of 2023. So that's kind of been the evolution of the diploma system. So currently what we did is we have a college readiness diploma, and then an alternate pathway diploma. But again, the titles of them, people might get caught up on the titles, but that is only for communication purposes only. It would never say either one on any school document.
Thank you very much. A couple of the other points is that we've also, Mr. Costa, thank you for all the work that you did on this policy, actually. A lot of the language regarding state assessments were no longer applicable, so that's been removed, which was probably about 3-4 pages out of the policy. Also, the policy change that we made a few months ago regarding the foreign language waiver is no longer applicable, because with the alternative path, students would not need to take that second year of foreign language.
So that's a perfect example. So on that college readiness kind of track, we still have 2 years of a foreign language. Colleges want to see the 2 years of a foreign language. But on that alternate path, now what we did is we took those 2 credits and we just moved them as electives. So it would open the door for students to do something else that they might not be considering college. A parent opens up the diploma, and again, it is required by the secondary regulations that I deliver all this information to families and students as they're starting the year. So this would be spelled out for families as they're coming into school next year.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, you have a question?
I have a question. Just want to clarify, you had said that you had reached out to RIDE about the implementing. So just to make sure I heard you correctly, students who are freshmen, sophomores, or juniors now at the high school will be eligible for this pathway? Or
Yes.
not pathway, path.
Yeah, so what this allows us to do is actually retroactively go back and look at students right now and do new transcript audits for students who are currently in our school. And there now may be students who will be eligible for a diploma who might have been behind the timeline because of certain courses that they haven't been able to take yet. And it truly is super supportive of all of our students. We have students now come in and take several intervention classes, and it really puts them behind. But these intervention classes are also part of their learning, and they really should be part of their path to a diploma, rather than impeding them getting to the courses that will lead to the diploma. So,
This may also free up some time for the interventionists to apply, to work in areas that would be more needed. So I would make a motion to approve this policy.
Mr. Fiorello makes a motion to approve I-14. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Friedman. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have that, 7-0. Thank you. Next is item number J20, student dress code. Mr. Fiorello.
Yes, the student dress code. After we had started this conversation back in the fall, back in, I believe, October, we met several times discussing this. We made a lot of changes. However, I believe that the language that we have created around the standards that we want have not really changed very much. I believe that this policy will be more equitable between male and female students, and the policy is specifically written to be gender neutral. So I would make a motion to pass this policy.
Mr. Fiorello makes a motion to pass J20. Do I have a second?
Second for discussion.
Yep, second for Mrs. Friedman. Discussion?
I would like to acknowledge former school committee person Amy Goggin for initiating this before she left the school committee, and especially thank and recognize Mr. Fiorello for the countless hours he has spent in researching dress code policies across the country, in understanding and working with administration to create a fair, equitable, and gender-neutral policy, and especially for empowering students, and especially girls, young girls in high school, to speak up and be heard, and teaching them that if you speak up for something and you believe in, you just might make change happen. So I thank you for that, Mr. Fiorello.
Mr. Hess.
I'll echo Mrs. Friedman's comments. I was particularly struck by some comments I had seen online that suggested that by updating the dress code, we aren't teaching students what it's really like in our society. And I humbly disagree. I believe that we are teaching our students what it's really like in our society. We're teaching our students that rules can and should be applied fairly and equitably, regardless of gender. We're teaching them that comfortable clothing does not define who they are as a person, nor affect their ability to learn and engage. We're teaching them that they can exercise their own judgment and style, that individualism is not a crime. We're teaching them that rules should exist to serve a well-defined purpose, and that they can and should be updated to reflect changes in society, that precedence is not equal to permanence. Some have suggested that the dress code is necessary to teach students how to properly dress in the workplace. Respectfully, children learn from a very young age that circumstances can call for varying types of attire, that propriety is determined by the social mores and those in charge. School dress codes are not necessary to prove that point. What I'm struck by is, in each version of the dress code that I've looked at over the past several years, is this particular statement that states in part, the primary responsibility for a student's dress and grooming standards are determined by the student and their parents and/or guardians. I believe this updated policy more accurately reflects that ethos with regard to modern fashion realities and the varying shapes and sizes of the human body. And I very much appreciate Mr. Fiorello's efforts on this and Mrs. Goggins to bring this into modern day reality.
Anyone else for discussion? Well said. All right. Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0. Thank you, Mrs. Goggin, and I think those dungarees will make it.
And those shorts.
Right, all right, next is personnel recommendations. Mrs. Drake.
Good evening. I come before you today with 4 resignations. I request the advice and consent of the school committee on the resignation of Jamie Benavides, grade 5 EL teacher at BF Norton School, effective May 6, 2019. Also, the resignation of Nicole Lanny, grade 8 English teacher at North Cumberland Middle School, effective June 30th, 2019. Also, Christine Martin, grade 7 math teacher at Joseph McCourt Middle School, effective June 30th, 2019. And finally, Melissa Shank, world language teacher at Cumberland High School, effective June 30th, 2019.
Mrs. Drake has a list of 4 resignations. I need a motion.
Motion to accept.
Motion by Mr. Hess to accept, seconded by Mr. Salvatore. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, 7-0. Thank you.
I also have 3 requests for leaves of absence for you this evening. I request the advice and consent of the school committee on the FMLA leave of absence for Nora Barrows, school psychologist at Cumberland High School and BF Norton, with an anticipated leave date of June 5th and an anticipated return date of November 13th, 2019. Also, I have a request for the personal leave of absence of Nancy Gilardi, grade 1 teacher at community school for the 2019-20 school year. And finally, I have a leave of absence request for an FMLA leave for Elizabeth McDonald, physical education teacher at Cumberland High School, with an anticipated leave date of May 17th through the remainder of the 2018-19 school year.
Okay, we have 3 leaves of absence. I need a motion.
Motion to accept.
Motion by Mr. Hess to accept, seconded by Mr. Salvatore. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next is school committee comments, school liaison reports. Does anyone have any comments or reports? Like to make comment?
Just wanted to say that I had the pleasure of attending all band night between the last couple of meetings. It was a great event over here in the Wellness Center, well attended, some great displays of musical talent by our middle school and high school bands. In addition, Mr. Fiorillo and Mr. Damana and I had the pleasure of attending the most recent Rhode Island Association of School Committees meeting, where Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Damana presented their story about how Rhode Island was able, or how Cumberland rather, was able to achieve its rather spectacular showing in the RICAS test last year. There was a lot of interest in what Cumberland has been able to do, especially in light of our fiscal situation over the past several years. So that was a great event, and great to acknowledge the great work that Mr. Damana and Mr. Mitchell and all of the teachers in the town have been doing. Mr. Mitchell made the comment that we have a great deal of talent. I believe that starts at the top and works all its way through. In addition, I believe Mr. Damana won a leadership award at that same school committee meeting. So, I'm sorry. Damana. My apologies. I'm looking at Mr. Damana's name, so my apologies.
All right. Go ahead.
I just want to make mention that I'm saddened to see Christine Martin leaving McCourt Middle School. She is an outstanding mathematics teacher who I'm lucky to say that both of my children had her. She will be sorely missed. Also, I believe it was yesterday, Mr. Damana, that RIDE visited BF Norton. Was it today? Okay. And I just wanted to relay one comment that the person from RIDE had made about BF Norton. She says, the culture of the school seems to support independence, social responsibility, and true caring. So I think that just sums up BF Norton very well, and I'm very fortunate to have had both my children go through that school. Thank you.
I'm sorry, the other day, Mrs. Bernardo, Mr. Fiorella, and myself, superintendent of schools, were able to attend a sort of a 10-year anniversary here at the high school entranceway in regards to a program that was designed 10 years ago by Mrs. Caldwell, who used to be our special ed director and now run by Karen Russell. And she wanted to acknowledge all the business owners around this area who have stepped up to help the children that are in this trade program. Some are here till 21 years old, and we're teaching them skills to move on in life. And I thought it was appropriate that we at least read the names into the record here and hope that one of the newspapers picks it up and does a story about it, because it's an amazing program that's been going on for these years. And I know as a special, a student with special needs, and Mr. Fiorello, that's very appreciative, including that gentleman that was here tonight speaking about the diploma, what this program really means. So the businesses were Walgreens, CVS, Savers, Paintbox Preschool, Academy for Little Children, Dr. Daycare Corporate Offices, Dave's Marketplace Corporate, Price Right of Weathersfield, the McCall YMCA, Print Masters, Impact Custom Apparel, Bucci's Auto Body, the Dollar Tree Store again, Ann and Hope, Colonial Bakery, Sedesco, Maple Hill Early Learning Center, Ace Hardware, Vose True Hardware, Holiday Retirement Home Management, Holiday Retirement Home Laundry Team, Holiday Retirement Home Kitchen. We have Chapel Hill Senior Living with the Activities and Management Team. And we also have Chapel Hill, the Kitchen Team, the Housekeeping Team there. Cumberland Senior Center, Staples, Burlington Coat Factory, Green Label Boutique, Benjamin Insurance, B&M Printing, Maple Hill Early Learning Center, Durham Bus Services, Phantom Farms, Friendly's Nursing Home, Amica, Landmark Medical Center, Old Colony Habitat for Humanity, Cumberland Collision Edible Arrangements, Cinema World, Literal LLC, Alpha Dog Center, Rhode Island Hospital, Chimney Hill, Ciabra, Northland Farms, Chili's, and the Woonsocket Cat Sanctuary. All these businesses in this area have stepped up to help the children of Cumberland move on in life, whether it's a trade school or something. I know a couple of women from Savers spoke about 2 or 3 of our students have actually got full-time jobs there because of the program, and it's they need to be recognized throughout the community. So if you go into any of these businesses, you reach out to a management person, please say thanks on behalf of the children of Cumberland, because it is appreciated. Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, Mr. Superintendent, do we have executive session?
No, we do not, Mr.
We do not.
Chairman.
I need a motion to adjourn. Motion adjourned by Mr. Hess, seconded by Mrs. Friedman. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for staying.